that's become a nice little moneymaker because a land trust runs that program. Calvert County, Maryland. Sorry about that cutoff. This is demonstrating. Calvert County is probably about 50 miles, I would guess, from Washington, D.C. Pretty rural county. And this, even though they have many different receiving areas, the one that works the best for them is very low density. In other words, the baseline density in this area is 1 per 20 acres. However, when property owners use the TDR mechanism, they can get up to a density of 1 per 4 acres. Obviously all on septic. And despite that low density formula, they preserved over 13,000 acres in Calvert. Pitkin County, Colorado is a good example of trying to figure out what it is that your development community really wants. In this particular case, the county has a permit quota system. So that is one of the things that a developer can get when they buy TDRs, is they can be assured of getting a building permit when they want to build. But another thing is that Pitkin County also has a baseline floor area in their residential units. This baseline, believe it or not, used to be 15,000 square feet of floor area in a single unit. But bear in mind, Pitkin County is the county that surrounds Aspen, Colorado. So, this slide used to be a lot funnier back when the baseline was 15,000. Now the baseline is still pretty high, as you can see there. It's almost 5,000 square feet. But nevertheless, a lot of people in this very wealthy community just can't live within that restriction, and so they buy TDRs to build bigger houses. This is also the highest TDR prices that I've seen come out of this program, up to as much as $300,000 for a TDR. Boulder County, Colorado. The interesting thing here is that Boulder County has entered into interjurisdictional agreements with 7 different incorporated cities, where those cities have agreed to accept TDRs from land under county jurisdiction. Now, typically, each of those agreements spell out where those cities are going to accept TDRs from, and most often it's in ways that they can create their own, or I should say implement their own land use plans in terms of creating little green belts around their cities, saving special environmental areas or farmlands that those cities are interested in saving. So it's certainly a reciprocal agreement there. Chesterfield Township, I won't dwell too much on this because I'm going to talk about it later, but this is probably, in my opinion, the most successful township-level program. This township basically started working on their plan in 1998, and they are doing very well. It took them quite a while to get off the ground, but they meticulously worked out a plan for what I would call a new village. They wisely did not locate it immediately adjacent to a historic village, but with a nice little quarter-mile separation, connected by a greenway. And within that village, they are going to be, in fact, it's almost 100% either built or permitted at this point, building out because they worked with the development community ahead of time, and the whole community bought into this process over time. Sorry about the discrepancy in the numbers. It depends on which figures you read, but perhaps as many as 3,200 acres from this program so far. San Luis Obispo County, this is the program I mentioned to you before. This is operating in a community, an unincorporated part of San Luis Obispo County, which is the central coast of California, where the county basically authorized a local land trust to administer many aspects of this program. This land trust got a $275,000 loan, and they used that to buy properties. They harvest the TDRs from those properties, sell them at double the price that they buy them for, and have managed to continue to use that rather modest seed money over and over. They've bought over 250 yachts. They've created this this preserve, and they still have money left over. San Luis Obispo County itself has a countywide program and has some interesting aspects. One is that this is such a diverse county. It goes basically from coastal areas to wine country to very dry desert-like conditions. Very difficult to create a TDR allocation rate that makes sense for the whole county. So what they do is, if a landowner wants to participate as a sending area property owner, they get their easement appraised. And for every $20,000 worth of appraised value, they get a TDR. That's one way that they try to adjust for the great discrepancies in land values throughout this very large county. The receiving areas are also created at the request of developers, of course, meeting various criteria for avoiding environmentally sensitive areas, for providing infrastructure, and being consistent with their overall land use plan. I just wanted to mention there are some local programs. Some of you may be much more familiar with these than I am. 3 of them in Connecticut that I'm aware of. Avon has one where they've actually gone through, a little hard to see here, but they've mapped their sending and receiving areas. Their receiving area baseline is 4 units to the acre. They can get a maximum density. It's not up there, but I believe it's 8 units to the acre when developers use the TDR option. Hasn't been used so far. I tried to reach the planner on this to find out when the program was adopted. That may be the reason why it hasn't been used. It may be a relatively new program. Windsor, Connecticut actually has had a residential program on the books for a long time. That residential program preserved 1 parcel along the Connecticut River for park and trail purposes. Just recently, in fact, December 2008, they have revamped their program. One of the reasons why I've been told they believe that their program hasn't been working as well as it should is that it has a so-called 1-to-1 ratio now, meaning for every home that's precluded in the sending zone, you're only allowed 1 home to be built in the receiving area. The new ordinance changes that. They have great hopes for that. They also have a non-residential program that works on impervious surface coverage.
What's the new transfer ratio? Do you know?
I'm sorry?
The new ratio? Do you know what it is?
Well, I don't know it off the top. But I have a, by the way, which I'll get to at the end, I have a website where I put profiles of these programs. And if you're really interested, I can give you a CD of that profile that's written. But if not, you can just watch that website, and I'll make sure to have that on that.
What is the website?
www.beyondtakingsandgivings.com.
Say that?
Beyondtakingsandgivings.com.
Just Google Pruetz, then gets you to it pretty fast.
And then the third Connecticut program that I'm aware of is Hebron, where they're trying to preserve the portion of Amston Lake, I guess, that falls within that town. The receiving area is part of their sewer service district, and it runs down from their downtown. Other programs nearby, I'm not going to talk about Red Hook because you're going to be hearing about that shortly. But Warwick has been doing some interesting things. Warwick Township in Orange County. They've had an intra-jurisdictional program for a while, and nothing's happened. But more interestingly, they entered into an annexation agreement with one of their villages, the village of Warwick, where when an annexation